Welcome, Matt Bernstein of Crystal Kyle and Friends. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is a true pleasure.
It's our pleasure. So I know you've been following the right-wing freakosphere, as I just decided to call it right now. So I've been following this, what was it, Sneeko and Andrew Tate and all these guys went to the club. Clavicular was with them. Who else was there?
Tristan Tate. Some dude I didn't know who he was.
Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit.
Myron Gaines was there
that's
from Fresh
right.
and Fit. That's right.
How could we forget?
And they had this moment where they, first of all, they played the Kanye Heíl Hitler song on the way to the club in the car, where they were all like singing and having a good time.
Yeah.
And then just to extra rub in how, bro, we're so edgy, we're so offensive, bro. They get in the club and they ask the DJ, hey, could you play the Heíl Hitler song again? So they listened to it twice. Like, this is what has become of the right-wing sphere. It's like they're just, let me just try to be as offensive as humanly possible. But since then, what I found interesting is now they're all turning on each other. So, yes. Matt, why don't you talk a little bit about that and how, like, these alliances are always only temporary. And then now Andrew Tate ran to the PBD podcast and he was like, I didn't pick the song and I didn't even dance to it.
I didn't consent.
And I was just sitting there and I think it was Sneeko. I'm not going to throw Sneeko under the bus, but it was definitely Sneeko. So don't be mad at me. He's losing sponsorships or whatever. Talk about these absolute degenerate cretin psychopaths and how fickle their alliances are.
Well, so it's actually really funny when you watch the video of them in the club, like singing Heil Hitler. It's very clear that Andrew Tate is like squeamish, which is interesting because you don't. That's like not his brand. Like he's always confident. He's always like the king of the room. And in this video, he's very clearly like, I don't know if I want to get on camera. And it's like, suddenly we realize that like Andrew Tate is about his business, just like fucking everybody else. But we're seeing just like a broader breakdown of the right-wing influencer ecosystem in a way that I think is really interesting and in a way that I think fundamentally comes from the fact that like Trump is not a conservative. He and MAGA is not necessarily a movement about conservatism, which is, you know, wrapped up in so many things with like the way that like women are over-sexualized in it, and it's not, you know, really Reagan conservatism, you know what I mean? And the most interesting split that I've been paying attention to is one that actually a lot of these figures that we've talked about so far fall on one side of, along with someone like Candace Owens, which is this more edgy for edgy's sake, hyper conspiratorial, very anti-Semitic, whereas you have the other side, which is still clinging to like these idea of like traditional conservatism, like the Turning Point USA people and Erica Kirk and Dave Rubin, who now Candace is also sparring with. It's really interesting to just watch them fall apart, really, which I think mirrors the crisis of the new right.
Yeah, and
just real quick, I just wanted to say that Andrew Tate is on a video this month, I believe, where he's saying we need to bring back the Hitler salute, and he does like multiple Hitler salutes on camera.
Oh, really?
So now I found it so weird when afterwards he was like, I didn't want to listen to the song. I wasn't even dancing to it. Because like, you're Andrew Tate, bro. You're on camera talking about how you human traffic girls. And like, you just did the Nazi salute multiple times. What are you talking about?
I mean, I am curious about, like, what did you read into the fact that after there was blowback, right, and the club owner fired somebody and they said, well, you're banned, and they've been banned from all these Miami clubs, and there was like this backlash moment. Then Andrew Tate and Tristan come out and like, oh, we didn't really want this, blah, blah, blah. Like, what does that say to you about the lane they're trying to occupy versus like a Sneeko or a Myron Gaines?
It's actually really hard to say because there isn't much of an ideological backbone to any of these people beyond just like what gets people angry. How do we trigger the libs? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, I think that like all influencers on the right were like on that for the last few years. It was all about like, oh, triggered libs, oh, like anti-SJW, anti-PC culture. But you're seeing like the limits that all of them are willing to go to. And, you know, I think it's interesting because someone like Sneeko or Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens are showing that they have no limits, essentially. And I think that's part of why they're succeeding the most, you know?
Is there a place where this just, like, how do you go further than I love Hitler, I'm doing the Nazi salute? Like, it's the most taboo thing in society, and I'm doing it. Like,
human traffic
do you
girls.
just, like,
That's where you go.
Do you just like run out of runway? Because you also saw Nick Fuentes now doing this whole like, oh, Epstein is based, and let's just admit it, Epstein was super cool, and selling like pro Epstein merch and whatever. Which again, at this point, it just, at least to me, I don't know how his fandom or the broader like right wing ecosystem takes these things, but it just starts to feel obvious and pathetic what you're doing here.
Yeah, you would think so, and yet there's a surprising amount of people, obviously, at least for now, who will throw money at him just because he makes them feel something. You know, like I think that edgelordness is all just about like feeling something and sort of creating an identity and expressing yourself through conflict and through upsetting other people. But I do think there is an end to this, and I think that is what someone like Nick Fuentes is currently trying to feel out, because you're right. I mean, how much further can you go from, you know, beyond I love genocide and I love, you know, child sex traffickers? There isn't a whole lot of space beyond that.
Yeah, so Sneeko, to me, for a long time, he was sort of like the most sympathetic because he seemed like a genuine guy. And he seemed like he was just trying to sort of figure out life. He was a young guy. I remember he had done streams with Destiny in the past, which is a whole other conversation that we don't need to get into. But he, in many respects, almost looks like one of the lesser sympathetic figures now, because I saw him desperately trying to defend what he did and acting like there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a song. It's just a song. It's like, you know, it's not just a song. You know what it represents is let's praise the guy who murdered 6 million fucking people. And so, in a sense, it's like he's now less sympathetic. And then you have Myron. I don't know if you saw his reaction, but he goes on a live stream and he dressed as the anti-Jewish merchant meme.
Oh, yeah.
And was like, you know, rubbing his hands
Dancing
together and doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, where is the end to this? Like, I'm offensive. I'm a bad boy. Look at me. I'm so bad. Because, like, you would think that at some point the bubble would burst, right? I mean, in many ways, I think this is what the Rogan sphere has done to comedy also with Tony Hinchcliffe with his show Kill Tony. It's just like, yeah, we're edgy, we're extreme. Look at me, I said the thing you're not allowed to say. And you can only do that so many times before people start to roll their eyes and go, okay, but are you actually going to be funny and make me laugh, or are you just going to be offensive?
Yeah. You know what's interesting is like, I bring it back to Candace because I think she's doing something interesting that a lot of these people aren't, which is that she's like, so Candace is like extremely anti-Semitic. She's very, you know, openly bigoted against all sorts of people, gay people. But she's sort of weaving a more intricate narrative for her own audience where it's like she cares about the genocide in Gaza, allegedly. You know, she cares about children and she cares about the truth. And she's sort of retroactively fitting all of these like wild conspiratorial bigoted beliefs into this framework of like moral righteousness that gives people the sense of like this is for something other than just making people angry. Like she's more sophisticated. And I've been looking at Candace a lot lately because I've been trying to understand why she's one of the biggest influencers in the world, bigger than these little boys. And I think it's interesting because she's, you know, these people are all on a track, like you said, of just like angering people. But it's like, how do you give people a belief system that also sort of centers around like the way that you think more than that? And I think that's what Candace is doing really well.
There's like a whole Candace like universe that she's created, that she's inhabiting and that she's populating and that people are interested in. And one of the things, let's stick on Candace a bit here because there's a whole bunch of divides going on in right-wing world, right? And one of them is with regard to Israel. Basically, the question is, do we hate Muslims or Jews more? Very difficult question for them to answer, so they're working that out. Some of it is just like personal, like these are some of the pettiest bitches on the planet, which personally I enjoy watching from afar.
Yeah, I love it.
And then one of the other divides, and I think Candace is like, you know, tracks a bunch of these in different ways. One of the other divides is the people who are still just like team red. At the end of the day, I'm voting for Republicans. It's all about what's happening in the midterms. I'm going for Trump. Next is going to be Vance. I'm all in for him. And people like Candace, who were on that train who are now like, I don't give a shit about your midterm elections. I'm doing my own thing over here. And I really don't care if you Republicans over there and your little projects succeed or not. Talk to us about her evolution and how she goes from like Turning Point USA Candace, who's very much on the team, to current Candace, who is one of the largest influencers in the world and is, pretty ambivalent to Republican success at best.
Yes. Do you okay, hold on. Wait 1 sec.
Oh, sure.
For whatever reason, I feel like I'm like a stereotype of a gay man. For whatever reason, Into You was playing through my home speaker. So I think the big thing when it comes to Candace, where she was for a lot of her career, where most of us began to know her as sort of just like this tokenized Black woman for the Republican Party, to where she is now, is Israel, but it's also like it is both Israel and Jewish people, and this is when it gets tricky because someone like Candace is very anti-Semitic. I mean, she would not say that, but you can't describe a lot of what she's saying as anything other than that. And she refuses to separate, Jewish people from, for example, like Israel's genocide. And of course, Zionists make it a lot harder for those of us who want to separate those two to do that. But regardless, Candace was really in line with Republican Party messaging. And she was working at the Daily Wire through 2024, which is Ben Shapiro's publication, until she started speaking out about the genocide in Gaza. And that, along with statements that she did make very specifically about Jewish people, but really it was about it was about saying negative things about Israel, got Ben Shapiro, fired up. You can't say this. Of course, he's a huge right-wing Zionist, and he fired her. And, the whole thing baffles me so much from the viewpoint of Ben Shapiro and right-wing Zionists generally, because you have aligned yourself with a movement that is so willing to throw every other minority under the bus, right? Ben Shapiro has spent his life talking about gay people and Black people and trans people and every other group. And then Candace Owens starts, spinning around rumors of, the Jews in Hollywood and the global Jewry and this, that, and the other thing and the Jews. And Ben Shapiro's like, whoa. I thought my allegiance to Israel safeguarded me as a Jewish person within this movement. And it's like, no, of course it doesn't. And so that just has always driven me crazy about good old Benny. But that sort of firing from the Daily Wire set Candace off into this independent path that she's been on for the last year or two, where she's just hitting it out on her own on the Candace Owens YouTube channel and podcast, and she has a bigger audience than ever. She has gone total conspiracy theory whack job, and I think she's reading the tea leaves of what comes after Trump, because Trump is going to die. And, MAGA, despite the fact that she's sort of like going against this MAGA establishment now, because MAGA is now the establishment. MAGA wanted to drain the swamp. Now MAGA is the swamp. It's a conspiratorial political movement, from vaccines to RFK's whole thing to, Epstein.
And
all of those things. And so it's funny that a lot of the people embedded within MAGA, like Erica Kirk, like J.D. Vance, they're so, anti-Candace, because how could you do this? She is the logical extension of everything that they have teed her up for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely.
So I agree with you that Candace's falling out with Ben Shapiro kind of led to getting her off the rah-rah Team Red train. In many ways, my conception of her is as the new Alex Jones. And I'm curious to get your reaction on that. In fact, I think that's why Alex is now so aggressively going after her, is that he realizes correctly, like, she stole my thunder. I was doing my thing. She stole my thunder. This is unacceptable. Candace is lying. Her dreams can't predict the future. Is that your reading on it too? That now he's like kind of jealous?
I think he is jealous. I think I think she is very much the new Alex Jones, but I also think that she can speak potentially to a way larger audience because of how she presents. She's well-spoken. She's beautiful. She, like, no shade to Alex Jones, but like he's neither of those things. and I think also
I actually do
though,
think Alex Jones is well spoken in a way.
In a weird way.
And at his peak, he's kind of impressive in his
right. and that coming from
charismatic,
Crystal Ball. I mean,
it's called cocaine, Crystal. Like, that's
True.
It makes all of us very confident. But
true.
But I also think that Candace has just better timed her, like, this conspiracy era of her career better. Because when Alex Jones did it, he was fringe. I mean, Alex Jones was not, a mainstay on somewhere like Fox News. That's why he had InfoWars, because it was like the more fringe, more online. But now Candace has lined up her career with a time when, like I said, because of the MAGA movement, conspiracies are mainstream. Everyone has a conspiracy about everything, especially on the right. And Candace can speak to that very well. And, it helps too that she's really embedded herself within YouTube, which is just always an ascendant platform.
So she has been saying some things that are genuinely insane. I mean, there's the whole he came to me in a dream. There's the fact that someone random will email her some tip. And she'll just take it completely seriously, which anyone who's a, public figure, public journalist, whatever, you're going to get some weirdos in your inbox saying some weird things. Fine to explore it, but she'll just go ahead and mainline it into her show. And then you have the whole Charlie Kirk, I think he was a time traveler situation. Yeah. Like, does she believe this stuff? Is she insane? Has she always been like this? Like, what is your read on the mental health of Candace Owens?
So my read is my read, and everyone can certainly have their own opinion about this. I recently did an episode about Candace Owens on my podcast, A Bit Fruity, and going into it, I was like, I hadn't been paying attention to Candace, and I hadn't been watching her stuff, and I was like, this is just like a crazy lady doing what a lot of people do on the internet, which is like sort of act out for views and clicks. And there's no way she believes this shit. But after watching a solid amount of her recent like Charlie Kirk stuff, which by the way, I could not explain to you the tracks of these conspiracies if I tried. They're so deep, which is also, I think, part of why it's exciting to be in her world online, because you feel like something that like somebody can't just like tune into. Exactly, that someone can't just tune into and understand immediately. Yeah, it's like a secret code. But like, my mind was changed listening to her. I think Candace has created like very high walls around herself in her career and also like in her thinking, and she is cheered on every day. She has hundreds of thousands of concurrent viewers, and I do think she believes a lot of what she says. And you can, draw conclusions about that from her mental health in any way you want to, but...
So she really thinks Brigitte Macron has a dick, for example.
I mean, she's getting sued over it, Yeah. Like, if you're willing to get sued over it and not retract it, like, that means you're about to ride for that shit,
Yeah, 100% she believes that. And also, I mean, I think she's done the calculation that even if they successfully sue her for that, which it's like very sort of a tenuous legal argument there, she will have still made money just based off of the content,
Yeah. Well, I feel like, she's married to a billionaire. I don't know that the money is the thing for her. I think my sense is more just the attention, the clout. Like, even if she loses money in this lawsuit, which is certainly possible if you net out what, she got from the content versus this and the attention that comes of whatever. It's a very hard thing to quantify. But she also has effectively like an endless stream of money. So I'm just not sure that really factors in for her at the end of the day either.
Yeah, that could be entirely true. She loves attention, and she's getting it better than anyone else on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from my perspective, Candace, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's killing, there was a brief moment there where, and I'm sure you went through the same thing, where you would scroll through Twitter and all of a sudden you see like 7 new different conspiracies of like, the shot came from this angle, the shot came from that angle, the shot actually came from his microphone, it shot up and through. And like there was a new conspiracy all the fucking time. But there were also things that were like, people were able to put holes in the theory. And so I don't know, she took that and then drove it off a cliff and made it about like time traveling and how she's an alien and all this stuff. I'm surprised more people didn't go my track with it, where I was like actually interested in what Candace was saying in the first like 2 weeks. But then the first time she started talking about bending space-time or whatever, I was like, okay, this is fucking stupid. Like there's absolutely nothing here. It's weird to me that you didn't see, like, if anything, she's peaking more. I thought people would be interested when the theories seemed plausible and then fall off when they were no longer plausible. But what is it about the moment that we're in where everybody's fucking insane, where the worse the theories are, the more people tune in?
I mean, to me, like, I think a lot of conspiratorial thinking about the government broadly comes from the fact that people feel correctly disenfranchised, and like we don't know what the hell is going on. You know, like I think, for example, look at the way that the Trump administration has handled Epstein. I think that makes people feel correctly, and I know I sound like I'm taking Candace's side here. I'm not. Hold on. But it makes people feel like they are not being given answers about one very important thing, because they're not. And stuff like that. And also, like, I think the creep of surveillance capitalism, which like is something Naomi Klein talks about a lot, but it makes people paranoid, you know, to be online because X, Y, or Z is coming out to get them, when it's really just like these huge corporations, you know, mining your information due to like unregulated capitalism, things like that. Like there are real things that keep us in the dark, that disenfranchise us, that are, you know, bigger than us. But when we don't have like the language and the understanding to directly confront what those overlords actually are, whether it's like rich white men in government, corporations, Peter Thiel, Palantir, like we give rise to opportunities for someone like Candace Owens to come in and say it's the global Jewry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
completely.
And so I think that's another sense that like we're living in a time of like unprecedented crackdown on civil liberties in the United States. People feel like they have no agency, that they have no autonomy. The free press, the media has been corrupted by people who are friends with Donald Trump. And so who's to say that like Candace isn't a more reliable arbiter of information because she continues to say, you know, I'm willing to go up against the establishment. And she is. She's just not taking you to anywhere better, you know?
So the other theory about Candace is the one that sounds like you started off with, which is that she's just a grifter, you know, and
yeah,
sort of evidence on that side is the fact that when like liberal feminist girl bossdom was at its peak, Candace was there. Then when she gets some attention from the right and she sees like, oh, I can be the like useful minority for them, I'm going to go and do that. Now that MAGA is splitting apart and like you said, she's reading the tea leaves, Trump is going to die, this thing is kind of a mess, I need to go in this direction instead. She's done that very effectively. So what cuts against the idea that she's just like the queen of the grifters? She's just grifting better and harder and in a more intelligent way than anyone else out there.
I mean, you know, it's hard to say. And there's a lot of different ways to interpret Candace Owens' career. She, you know, when we were in the height of the girl boss, the mid 2010s, she did live in New York. She ran like a liberal like marketing blog from New York City, which like is all on the Internet Archive, and those entries are fascinating to read. She was like, monogamy is not realistic and nobody should care who you love and da-da-da-da.
She had an Instagram with her cat, right? Which is
you
like
listened to my episode, Crystal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She did.
Oh yeah. Shit, my cat says if memory serves.
Shit, my cat thinks. Shit,
oh,
my
shit,
cat
my
thinks.
cat thinks.
They can't talk. Cats can't talk. Hey guys, we had Matt Bernstein from the A Bit Fruity podcast on for an awesome conversation about the lamification of the right. Sneeko, Andrew Tate, Nick Fuentes. Candace Owens, we spent a lot of time on Candace Owens. You don't want to miss this one. It's an awesome conversation. Sign up below on Substack.